Aloha, and welcome to this episode of Hawaii Smooth Jazz Connection. I am your host, Gwendolyn Harris. My guest today hails from Auckland, New Zealand, and is a multi-instrumentalist artist who is also a producer, arranger, and engineer. He started to play guitar, saxophone, and the bass at an early age and was influenced by the music and guitar legend George Benson. He primarily at that time considered himself a guitar player. This Billboard charting artist has worked with Greg Manning, Chris Cole, Chris Big Dog Davis, Lynn Roundtree, and other well-known musicians and producers. Let's welcome Mr. Ryan LaValette to the show. Aloha, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, Gwen. Aloha. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, for my viewers, we are blessed to have him because he's coming all the way from New Zealand. Is it there? What time is it there in New Zealand?
So it is 3:19 on Thursday. So I'm a day ahead of you guys.
You're a day ahead of us.
That's right.
I get confused already. But thank you so much for being here. So we are going to get this show started, this party started, like I like to say. And why don't you tell us why or how did you get into the music industry?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I'm the only musical person in my family. Both my parents are salespeople. I have family who are accountants and lawyers. So by no way, shape, or form was music kind of in my family. It's something that just kind of happened from a young age. Mm-hmm. My parents always knew that they saw from a young age that I was always drawn to music and musical instruments. So they decided that they wanted to encourage it. And of course, it's grown into what it is today. And I'm, of course, a recording artist. But I picked up the guitar for the first time when I was 3 years old.
Oh.
My parents bought me a guitar when I was 3. They noticed I had a huge interest in music, and I pretty much never put it down. I've continued up until now. Yeah.
Wow. Now, you're considered a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments do you play?
Be about seven instruments.
7. Name a few. We already know the guitar. Name.
So after the guitar, we'd say, the alto, tenor, and soprano saxophones, the regular bass guitar, plus the piccolo bass guitar, the keyboards as well.
Okay. Well, you're just a jack of all trades, huh?
Yeah. I try to do my best.
Now, besides the guitar, what would be your favorite?
Favorite other instrument?
Uh-huh.
Well, it'd probably be the saxophone. It probably would be, yeah.
Okay. Now, why did you get in, or how did you get into doing smooth jazz or contemporary jazz?
So once again, from a young age, my mum was cleaning the house. I would have been maybe 5 years old at the time, and as she would do every Saturday, and she'd be cleaning the house, she put on a record, and this was George Benson's, the Breezin' album.
Yes.
And when I heard This Masquerade, that was it. The intro to that song, I decided I want to do that.
Wow.
So so that was my introduction. That was pretty much the only contemporary jazz CD that we had in the house. So basically the influence started from there, just listening to the Breezin' album, every track on the record, and just kind of trying to emulate the sound of George Benson throughout my youth. And of course it's led to me wanting to forge a career as an artist now.
Nice. Now, have you met George Benson yet?
I met him once when I just turned 15. He came to New Zealand to do a show. It was incredible. It was, of course I was starstruck. Of course, he's still my greatest hero. Mm-hmm. Got to meet him. It was so inspiring. I still have a couple photos of myself with him. And he was just a great guy, very humble, very down to earth, and very inspiring.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, besides George Benson, he's one of your influences. Do you have anybody else?
Oh, plenty. Grover Washington Jr., Norman Brown. then of course some straight ahead influences, like Pat Martino and Pat Metheny, a whole bunch of different cats. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell the audience, and I think I told you this earlier I was, doing some work last night, and I was listening to your music.
Right.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. So to my viewers, if you have not music yet, you need to go to Spotify and all those other social media outlets and get it. Because I hear in your music, when you play that guitar, I hear hints of George Benson. I hear Norman Brown. I hear it. So you got that.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a great deal. Wow, what a compliment.
You got that for real. Now, where do you see yourself musically in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years?
Yes.
Well, hopefully I'm headlining at that stage. Well, but this is all I've ever wanted to do for a very, very long time is to become an artist. I'm willing to do whatever it takes and put in all the hard work that it takes to get there. Of course, as you and I both know, there's no such thing as an overnight success in this business. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication and hustles to kind of get there. But I'm not here for the overnight thing. I'm here to stay. That's what I want to do.
You're gonna go far. You're gonna go far. I see this already. You're going to go far. Now, you have collaborated with so many people, and I mentioned Greg Manning, Lynn Roundtree, Nicholas Cole.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream collaboration? Now you've already done that, but who your dream collaboration?
Dream collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I would say that's tricky. There's so many people I want to collaborate with, but if I really had to, if I had to narrow it down, no, I'd say it'd be amazing to work with Bruno Mars. I know he's not. I know he's not in the genre, but I do listen to a lot of music in that space, within pop and of course modern R&B. So I do draw a lot of my influences from that music. So to work with someone like him, or even Pharrell Williams in that space, that would be huge for me. Yeah.
Wow. And I always tell people, if you speak it into existence, it'll happen. You have to speak things into existence. Now I'm going to go into your discography a little bit and talk about, your music. That your first album you did was in 2018, right?
That's right.
And that was entitled Saturated Smooth.
It's the one.
Right? Okay. Yep. Then you did a single in 2019, and it's titled Something Special featuring Donald Hayes.
That's right. Donald Hayes. He was one of the first guys who helped me out in the beginning of my first record. But you finish. I'll talk soon.
Okay. You can interrupt me at any time. But what I did notice, you were very busy in 2020, and that happened to be COVID.
That's right. Yeah, I was really busy. Well, I had a bit of time. I had a bit of time to work on music, So
yes.
That's what I did.
Because in 2020, you did a single called "Love Is All We Need," right?
That's right. Yeah.
Then you did an EP titled "The Dimensions of Me."
That's right. Yep.
And then you did a Christmas to Remember. And then we hit 2022, right? Which is your latest album, right? And it's entitled New Beginnings. And I know that's very special to you.
It is.
That 2022 album is very special to you. Why don't you tell me why that's special to you?
Well, this is, of course, New Beginnings is my first record with a major label, Trippin N Rhythm, the label I'm signed to. And of course, Lynn Roundtree signed to as well. Mm-hmm. So I had I mean, for me, I'm always writing music all the time and kind of storing ideas away for whatever projects come next. And at the time when I signed the record deal and was talking with Jeff Lunt, who was my promoter, he said, Ryan, we're getting ready to do this record. Do you have any songs that you have stored away, or are you going to start writing them now? And I said, I have a few tracks that I've got stored away that I want to kind of share with you and see if they're good enough to go through and for us to record and produce them. And he liked what he heard, and we got together. It was a little bit of a rush because at the time, it was not too long after he signed me. We would have been a quarter of the way through recording the record, and he got me Seabreeze. So I had no choice but to get the record done in only a couple months' time. So in between working my day job and coming back home and spending my time, I had to be like a machine getting this music done. Mm-hmm. But we got it done. I believe that when the stats came back after I finished the show, New Beginnings was one of 3 records that sold the most of. I was one of 3 artists that sold the most records at the festival last year. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. I heard you just say that you were and recording at the same time, right? So you
That's
just
right.
Don't do music yourself. You have a full-time job, don't you?
So I work part-time as an IT tech for a corporate company. But yeah, okay. That's me. But before that, I've worked many other jobs. I mean, upon finishing college, I graduated in the end of 2017. It was up and down for a long time. I was struggling to find industry-related work, as an engineer and a whole bunch of other things I was trying to do. So I was pretty much working any job that I could get some money, basically to survive, to pay my bills, and everything. And the pennies that I put aside, I'd be putting it into music. And just to kind of back it up a bit further with my very first record, Saturated Smooth. So I pretty much recorded all of that through my last year of college. And because I was a student and had no money, I had to learn how to play all the instruments myself. So pretty much everything that you hear there is me. Program the drums, play the bass, everything else. So basically me learning to play all of these instruments was more or less out of necessity, me having to do it because I couldn't afford to pay anyone else to do it. So that's where that came from.
Wow. I've interviewed Brian Culberson, and that sounds like a story that he told me in his beginnings.
I heard his story. I've heard his story, yeah.
Heard the story, right? So you sound just like him. Now, I know that your latest album is very dear to you.
Of course.
You have a favorite single or album, and I'm going to tell you what my favorite is, and it's Love Melody. And that features the 2 keyboard greats, Greg Manning and Nick Cole. So what do you have? What is your favorite single? I know that one album is very special to you, but what's another one?
It is that song too. Lover's Melody is also my favorite. Yeah. Yes. And it's also my mom's favorite too. That's her favorite song on the record as well. So
really?
Yeah.
Yes, that's very nice. Well, it's an awesome. Very awesome. Now, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Spare time, I'm actually a car enthusiast, believe it or not. So I like tinkering around, working on engines and doing stuff like that. I grew up my dad is a very, very much a car guy as well. So I grew up, as a little kid with him, just kind of working on vehicles and having little projects together. That was kind of our thing. So when, I believe, because I think a lot of musicians, their hobby is their job and that's it, right? They don't have any other sort of outlet. It's just music. So for me, luckily, I do have something else that I can go to when I need to kind of decompress and kind of wind down a little bit. And that's my happy space. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a little break here because we're just going to hear something from you. So we're going to take a little break, listen to that. We're going to give the audience of what they should be listening, why they should get your set. And once we listen to that, we're going to come right back.
Sounds good.
Now, see why you need to and get his music. I'm telling you, I just can't wait to see you on stage. But we're going to keep this interview going because I have some more questions for you.
Sure.
And this one is, what would you define as the most life-changing event so far in your career?
Life-changing event. I would say getting my record deal. That's what it would be. And it was funny, I was going through a time, I was actually getting ready to quit music at that time that happened. 7 years of hard work and preparation, and everything I did kept falling over. You get up to do something and it would just go down again and up and down. So I got to a stage, and after the pandemic, I was like, I'm going to release this music, the last stuff that I have, and maybe just stop trying to pursue it as a career, maybe just do it as a hobby. That's kind of the stage I was getting to at that point. And it was Greg Manning, of all people. I hadn't heard from him for a long time. It would have been 8 months since I last heard from him, but he reached out to me to tell me that he was working with a particular record label. And he said, I'm doing some producing for some of the artists. I really think they should hear your music. Can you please just send me a 5-minute demo reel of your best work? Can't promise you anything, but I think they should hear it. So I said, okay, I've got nothing to lose. So I kind of begrudgingly put a demo reel together, and I sent it through to him, not thinking anything would happen. And it would have been probably 3 weeks later. My email was blowing up. I had calls to the US, calls to London. And before I knew it, I had a record deal sitting in front of me. So it all happened very, very fast.
We'll see what happens when you don't give up.
I know, right? I know.
Soon you're going to be over here playing all over here and all over the world. So, I'm so got that record deal, but I got to tell my viewers, you have to go get his music. You have to go get it. You just have to. Now, you are a multi-instrumentalist, but your main instrument, of course, is the guitar. Right. What sets you apart from other guitarists out there?
Well, for me, even though I have, of course, we all have our major influences and people that we aspire to, we look up to. But as much as I love George Benson and Norman Brown and Earl Clue and so many others, I'm always trying my best to sound like myself. And of course, you're never going to escape those influences. Little hints of things are always going to be there, right? But for me, I'm always trying to sound like myself. And I think with my music, and of course with my latest record, it's different from track to track. An instrument changes, the feeling changes. So I think that may be what may set me apart from the rest. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, now you're still a fairly new artist.
Right.
But what advice would you give newer artists than you coming to the industry?
Well, first of all, don't quit like what I was about to do. Don't quit. And I think that the greatest advice I could probably give, even from my sort of green space that I'm in, is just to be patient. Do the work hard, and just be patient. Everything eventually will fall into place. Don't try and make it happen yesterday. It doesn't work that way. I think you got to take your time, do the work that you can do at that particular point in time, and let things grow from there. That's what I think. So, yeah.
That's excellent advice. That is excellent advice. Now, for my viewers, what things do you have coming up, or do you have anything coming up that we should be looking out for, whether it may be online or, for anybody that's over there in New Zealand? Is there anything you got coming up?
So I do have one really big show coming up in early May. So the Algarve Smooth Jazz Festival. I have my own slot playing there amongst some more of my heroes and greats that I looked up to. So, yep, so I'm going to be there. My performance date is May the 12th in the Algarve. And then after that, I'm working on a bunch of things to get back to the US to do some shows. So nothing kind of set in stone yet, but working a lot behind the scenes to make it happen.
Okay. So how prepare for a big event like the Algarve?
To prepare, well, there's a lot of things that I mean. I often tell people when you're playing, I think any show, but especially at a big festival, the amount of work and preparation that goes on behind closed doors, it's immense. The amount of the emails going back and forth to promoters. I mean, you're working with backline companies for gear. You're working with so many different people. You're working, sending charts to the musicians. I mean, if you're in a position like myself, where you're the new guy and you can't afford to take musicians on the road, you have to use the musicians that are already over there. So, you're going there pretty much. I mean, when I did Seabreeze, I mean, there was no rehearsal. Get up in front of 12,000 people, no rehearsal. So basically, you're giving the guys the charts and you're hoping for the best when you get out there.
Oh.
So, I mean, luckily for me, I had some of the greatest session musicians that I could find in the US. So we didn't have any issues. The guys were there. They were so amazing. They were reliable. And it's tough, when you're flying halfway across the world and you don't know what's waiting for you,
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how things are going to go. But they went a lot better than I thought. So, and of course, the fans thought so as well. So I was happy.
So what would you tell, I know, because you're already a young man, what would you tell a younger version of yourself?
A younger version of myself.
Uh-huh.
They're coming into the business?
Yes.
Well, I'd say be patient again. If there's anything else I could add, I would say don't listen to the naysayers. There's always going to be people out there that'll try and discourage you, who will tell you don't follow your dreams. That's unrealistic. And I mean, I've grown up with little bits of that kind of all over the place from different people. But if you believe so strongly in something and you're waking up every day and that dream and that passion is just with you everywhere you go, I think you have to see it through. And that's pretty much what I've done. I've followed this. I mean, that dream for me is never going to go away. And I'm not going to stop until I fulfill that dream.
So you have the perfect attitude. That is perfect attitude. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Now, where can viewers go? Before that question, I'm going to ask this question. For the guitar players out there, what kind of instrument do you prefer?
As a guitarist, so I play on a hollow body because that's kind of the sound that I go for. Of course, I grew up listening to George Benson, and he's played on hollow body guitars his whole career. So that's kind of the sound that I've always gone for. I mean, so of course, when I play live, I play on my hollow body. When I'm recording in the studio, I play on different solid body guitars, Fender Strats and Fender Telecasters for that particular rhythm guitar sound.
Okay. Now, where do viewers go to find your music?
Cool. So, of course, I'm on all major streaming platforms, like you mentioned Spotify earlier. But if you want to follow me on social media, Instagram, I'm fairly active on there. I'm kind of working on building up my social media presence at the moment. But it's at Ryan LaValette Music on Instagram. And I'm posting stories all the time, with Billboard chart updates and everything else, different video clips here and there, and updates on shows and everything else.
Wow. Well, I am just so happy to have met you. I'm happy that you were here on my show, Dahlia, very much so when we finish. But I wish you nothing but the best. I know you're going to go far. I already know that. But I thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you. I wish I could go to the Algarve because I would go. But I hope to see you soon here in the US, or maybe I'll just in New Zealand,
Well, most of my career is pretty much going to be in the US, because in terms of a music scene, because we have such a tiny population here. And in terms of the world of smooth jazz, it's basically non-existent in New Zealand. So pretty much my entire career is going to be pretty much everywhere else but home.
Right, but and that pretty much I know people that have as well. But I wish you nothing but the best. I'm definitely going to be looking out for you. For sure. For sure. Thank you so much for being here on the show today. And to my viewers, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, aloha and God bless.
Thank you so much for watching Think Tech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.